Howdy, y'all. I'm Kurtis Sunset.
And I'm Leah Halston.
And this is Weathering Rainbows. Howdy, y'all, and welcome back. We are in the midst of the holiday season, and we are sending out Christmas cards this year. So if you have not DM'd us your address on Instagram, please go there and DM us. We want to send you out a Christmas card. If you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we will also send a little gift as well. So leave us a review, and we will either notice it or send us a little pic of it, and we will make sure to get you your gift as well from us. This week, we're going to start out, as we always do, with the fun story time. I will start this week. So this past Friday night, we had some Christmas parties. We went to Hedwig, which was an amazing show that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But at the end of the night, I ended up at this Christmas party, and I really had to go pee. And one thing that viewers might not know about me is I'm incredibly pee shy. And so the first thing I get told whenever I get to this party is, I hope you don't have to use the bathroom because there are 5 guys in a tub in the bathroom. And I was like, oh, great. So I had like a choice to make. I could either go in the bathroom and try and probably have like people trying to look at certain things about me from the tub, or I could find a bottle and try to use a bottle, or I could just get in the tub myself and just probably pee in the tub because I don't think they would have noticed. So.
No.
So, yeah. So, they might have liked it. I don't know. I don't know what they were into. But anyway, I did choose using the bottle outside, and I definitely I feel sorry for this guy's like porch because I guarantee you I missed the bottle a lot. So
no, Kurtis, no. Like, okay, so were they having sex? Were they?
I don't think it was like that far. I think they were just enjoying like these jet streams in this tub, or something.
It must have been a big tub.
It was a very big tub.
Okay,
I was impressed, but I was like, well, maybe it's like a hot tub, but no, it was just like a jet stream tub. So I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I really didn't go in and ask about it. So.
Well, see, I would have. I mean, like, what y'all doing up in there? Y'all got clothes on? I would ask all kind of questions. Y'all need some help, company.
You'd have been reaching and feeling.
Oh yeah, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure they wouldn't have mind.
That's my little fun story for the week.
Okay, so my fun story goes back about 6, maybe I don't know, maybe 8 years. Who knows? Mine's have to do with a show. One of my first times doing a professional show. I got hired to work at this casino, Harris Casino. It was a celebrity lookalike show where I portrayed Tina Turner and Diana Ross, and so. Prior to opening night, we did all these rehearsals with dancers and costume changes, all kind of that good stuff. And opening night came, and I'm nervous. Diana Ross opens the show, so of course I'm nervous. And it's a packed house, people coming in. And so if you've ever been to a Diana Ross concert, she likes to walk through the crowd. She likes to shake people's hands and do all this stuff. She have elaborate costumes by Mackey's and all this stuff. So my costume was a ball gown that revealed into a cat suit where the dancers come out and we start and we dance and stuff. So opening night, I walk out, I'm standing there on the stage. I'm on some steps on this big, huge stage because this is a theater, like a ballroom theater. The stage is big. People like Celine performing in there. They've had all kinds of celebrities performing in there. Carrot Top, who was a resident there in Lake Tahoe at the time. This was in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. And so picture this opening night. I'm standing there, my ball gown is down the Ross. The curtains come up. The crowd screaming, because, they want you to look like this celebrity. So I'm performing, and then it's time for me to go down into the audience. And soon as I get to the end of the stage, to the step, I miss the first step and fall straight into the orchestra pit. And all you could see was my legs sticking straight up and a ball gown. Like, it was a big drop, like crazy. So I'm laying there. You can hear the crowd gasp. And of course, the music keep going. And I'm like laying there like, what do? Do you play hurt or do you get up? And I'm like, so that took about a second to figure out. I say, just get up. It's a show. I got up. The crowd started yelling and screaming. So I went through the audience and started waving and stuff. So now it's time for me to get back on stage. And they have 3 little steep steps and then the stage. So I have to hold a microphone and lift this big ass ball gown up to get back on stage. So I'm trying to get back on the stage to make the costume change. And I'm just stepping on the ball gown. So I'm not going nowhere. I'm just like, at this point, I'm sliding down the steps.
Oh,
this was
goodness.
Opening night. It was being recorded. So the dancers had to come down and help me back up the stairs. We missed the whole costume change. By the time the ball gown came off, it was the end of the song. So I was like, this have been my nightmare for many years. And I wanted to share that with you and our audience because like I had a dream about this. It haunts me. And so I had a dream about this. I said, I'm going to have to share this story. And, things happen in the show. We've had a lot of things happen. So,
right.
But that was one of the most funniest because I laughed about it. I thought it was funny. And at some point, I'm going to have to reach out to Dan Gore. He's the producer of the show in Palm Springs. Name of the show is Carnival Cabaret. I'm going to have to see if he have that footage of me falling off the stage. And like, seriously, my legs were just straight up. Like, it was like a scene from I Love Lucy or Carol Burnett show.
Oh, my
goodness. And we laugh. We laugh about it. If I talk to the dancers from that show, we laugh. We still laugh about that. And I wanted to share that with you guys because sometimes you just got to laugh at stuff. Now, I was freaked out because it was opening night, but sometimes you just got to laugh.
So you fell into the orchestra pit?
Yes. Now, mind you, there were nobody playing music. There was just chairs.
Okay.
So it was like, I'm telling you, if I could find this footage, we going to post it. And
we've got to post that. That's a necessity.
It's so funny because my legs are like, and then you see people jump up, but they don't know what to do. And so I finally like roll over and get up and like wave. And, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened in a big show, my first night in the show.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
that's embarrassing.
It was very embarrassing. And, but we like, it's, we laugh about it. So many things happened during that show. Tina Turner, I wore, what they call them that the pageant girls wear, flippers. I wore flippers for Tina Turner. And at one point they popped out my mouth. They popped out my mouth doing Proud Mary.
Right. Oh my gosh. For those of you that don't know what flippers are, they're basically like teeth that you could put in that give you beautiful
a lot
teeth.
Of if you watch the pad like Little Miss Sunshine or Little Miss Pageants or something like that, they make the little babies wear these falsies, which I hate them. But Tina, apparently, in these lookalike shows, they want you to be dead on your character.
Yeah.
Because people pay a lot of money to come and, to see,
Yeah.
and you want to look like your character. So apparently I didn't have Tina Turner's teeth, so they made me get a flipper. And I swear to God, I was like, do, Proud Mary, and it just flew out my mouth.
Oh my goodness. Oh Lordy.
Yeah.
Things we can look forward to when we all get old.
Oh my God.
Wow. Well, I think that is a great segue right into talking about what was a wonderful performance, which I didn't see any mishaps at this performance. They were amazing.
Yeah.
At Hedwig this past weekend.
Yeah.
Put on by Drag Daddy Productions. Leah and I had the privilege to go there on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I was amazed. I thought Gilda Wabbit and the rest of the cast and musicians were just incredible.
Yeah. Tony Lewis definitely know how to produce a show. And Gilda, I just remember telling her, like, I was in awe because I told her I walked in expecting to see Gilda as Hedwig, but it was not Gilda. She played the shit out of that character. Like, she was Hedwig. Yeah. And I loved it. I love that she put her own take onto it and wore red hair instead of blonde, and I didn't know much about that story, but I was very captivated. Like, her singing was amazing. It was produced well. And the fact that she held that accent, that's why I was so amazed, because it wasn't Gilda. I mean, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I think it definitely showed a whole different side of her just acting capability.
Oh my God, yes. Like, she definitely have a future. I told her Saturday night, I said, girl, you have arrived. Like, seriously, you're going places, So,
and I think this really puts Tony Lewis and Drag Daddy Productions they were already on the map, but this I think really shows a whole new side of what they are capable of with that production company.
Yeah.
I know I plan on going to all the shows in the future, at least to see, one of each show.
Oh my God. Snow White and the Seven Drag Queens is amazing. He started that with a Chicago cast, and then he moved here. And the first couple of times he did it, he brought the Chicago cast down, and then he wanted to do a Louisville cast. So now we have a Louisville-based cast that's doing it now. And if you guys have not seen Snow White and the Seven Drag Queens, it is amazing as well.
Yeah, and I do believe that they are going to be doing a holiday version of that, which is a little different from their regular version. This upcoming
December 18th,
week.
Yeah,
so we definitely highly suggest going out and seeing some Drag Daddy Productions shows.
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah, because I haven't seen. I missed the last one they had, so I'm excited to see this one. And I do believe Gilda's playing 2 roles in this one, opposed to one role last time she was doing it. Now she's playing 2 roles. Yeah.
She's just making all kinds of moves.
Honey, she's a hard-working girl. Like Donna Summer said, you work hard for the money, honey. She works hard for the money.
Let's talk about somebody who has probably lots of money by now. Somebody you've been begging to talk about for the last few weeks.
Yes.
And that is, I finally listened to this album. Adele's new album that everybody is raving over.
I'm telling you.
I'm going to let you take this one away because you connected emotionally with this.
Okay, first of all, listeners, I am in love with this album because this album speaks. I feel like she was in my head. Maybe we met in a past lifetime and I sat down and told her my story. Because, baby, this album, I listen to this album every time I do my makeup. And from start to finish, I'm barely finishing my makeup because I'm like, yes, girl. That's what I'm talking about. Girl, I relate to this album. And I love all of her albums, but the songs in this album, it boils down to, she wants to be loved. She was in love, and it's hard when you're in love. I've been there. I've been in love with a man, and it's hard when you're in love with a man, it's hard to let them go. And I do believe that, I feel like she have moved on, but she still loved that man, and you can hear it in this album. And I've been there. I've been where, he put me through so much, but it's so hard to let them go because it's like, this is the one, So yeah, y'all, right. I'm telling y'all, if y'all have not listened to this album, baby, ooh.
Yeah, and you made me listen to it on my way up to Louisville the other weekend, and I told her she's got to owe me for my makeup that I ruined all the way up there. But, Adele's the kind of person, she brings in that emotion. Yeah. Even if you don't relate entirely, you still feel the emotion in her songs. For me, I think I enjoyed her other albums better, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is I think I was just in a different place.
Yeah.
Like because, Adele is kind of grown up with me. We're about the same age, So when she releases something, like it's almost identical to like what I'm going through.
Yeah.
But this time, like, I feel like, and maybe it's because I haven't had a relationship in like 5 years, but I'm comfortable like now with like where I stand with all of my exes, with all of my past like endeavors.
Yeah.
And, I think that's why I just didn't relate as well to this one.
I did. I don't know about you, but I definitely like a woman like me, baby. Adele, you better speak, honey. She said, you ain't gonna never find a woman like me. And that's what I'm talking about, girl. That's what I be telling them. You ain't gonna never find nobody that's gonna take care of you like I took care of you. You ain't gonna never find nobody that cook like I cook for you. You ain't gonna find nobody that give you the good sex like I give you.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite songs. But also about the album is I do love that the inserts from like her child talking and she's having a conversation with her child. Like, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I love that they put actual footage of her talking in the album. I think that's what makes the album to me. If I could sing, I would have all kind of shit in my album. Like, yeah.
Well, we'll be looking for that release. No, I totally agree.
Unfortunately, I won't be singing, honey, no.
Yeah, I totally agree, though. Like, the parts where she was just speaking and, like, getting emotional, that was the parts that touched me the most by far. Because, you could hear that raw emotion, like, what she was going through.
To Be Loved, that, I think that's the one I was telling you about where you can... I know she's still in love with that man, and I heard every note. You could just hear it in her voice. Like, I'm telling you, I listen to this album every time I get painted. So that's on Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and sometimes Sundays.
Yeah. And I can verify because I walked into your house the other day and you were listening to Adele, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna do this."
Oh no, she was blasting Adele. I had it on surround sound. I'm telling y'all, it's such a good CD, and I wish people, I definitely understand what she's going through, and hopefully she finds some peace, and. It's just heartbreaking that, there's a artist in the R&B community called Phyllis Hyman that I compare her to Adele. Phyllis Hyman sung some really sad music, and it was about all she wanted to do was be in love. And if you listen to Phyllis Hyman, if people sit down and just listen to Phyllis Hyman words in her music, it's beautiful music, but it's all ballads and it's all depressing. You can hear all she was asking was to be loved. She just wanted to be loved. And unfortunately, she committed suicide.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll have to listen to the songs. I've never listened to that. So.
Yeah, Phyllis Hyman. I compared her I compared Adele to her because it's the same level of them singing about just wanting to be loved.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing about Adele that's really speaks a lot is like you can be somebody that's incredibly well known, popular, famous, rich, and still go through the same exact emotions as everybody else when it comes to love. And I think we're all there when it like the To Be Loved song, like we all have an ex or something that we will always love.
But the things we do to get like I just had a conversation with myself this week. Remember, I was telling you, I said, I have to get off the Tinder because Tinder is a distraction. I'm finding myself going down a dark road on Tinder because I want to be with somebody and so bad, like I'm on somebody else's time. And when I say, they say, oh, I can't see you this day, let's do it this time. And I'm like, okay, like I'm making adjustments to make somebody else happy. So, we definitely do crazy things when we want love.
I wish we could like bottle up all the tears that she's ever produced, like made people cry. Like, cause I bet that would be like several fish tanks.
I mean, baby, it started with Chasing Pavements.
Right.
Hello. Missing You. Like that album, the album with Hello on it, baby, those songs. Ooh, baby.
Yeah.
Those songs were deep too. She definitely, let me tell you something. The one thing y'all don't want me to do is get me a bottle of wine and put on some Adele. What is a party like at Leah's house? Wine and Adele.
Wine and Adele. Yeah. Don't go there. You don't want to.
We will all be crying and in our feelings.
Leah and I have two different types of parties.
Well, yeah.
Mine's more of like we're playing like Let's Get Soaking Wet and like everybody's dancing by the pool.
Yeah.
So,
and here
totally different.
And
parties.
I'm making people cry at my parties. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're listening to Phyllis Hyman and Adele. Seriously, it's one of my favorite albums this year, and I don't listen to many albums from beginning to the end, and this is one of the albums that I can listen to from one all the way through to the last track. It's really good.
I do think that's something really neat that she proposed and pretty much made Spotify do was take off the shuffle choice on albums.
Yeah.
She's like, if I'm going to work so hard on this, then people need to listen to it in the order that I arranged it. And so that was a really neat contribution from her. On that note, as much as I don't want to cry anymore, let's move on to the get to know you questions.
Oh, hell. Don't answer this, but one of these were like, what's your favorite smell? What the fuck? Do you feel like you want to answer that? You want to answer that?
I can answer that one.
Oh,
I think it's actually a good story.
Oh, do you want to? Okay. So
yeah.
Okay, y'all, we're gonna go with this. So my question for you is, what's your favorite smell?
So being totally honest, it is my ex-boyfriend's like cologne.
Oh no, that's
like to this day. Yeah. And so after the breakup and like 3 months after we were broken up, I actually texted him and I was like, what was the name of the cologne that you used to wear? Like, I need to know what this cologne is. And so he told me, and it's like a cologne that I have to like special order from France.
Oh.
And so if you ever smelled my cologne, now you know like what my favorite smell is because I use my ex-boyfriend's scent.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my favorite smell. And as awkward as that is now, it's still something I enjoy. It's that like,
does it linger
manly...
like were you smelling it in your bed sheets and stuff after?
I mean, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Is like you would smell it and, cause I mean, he would be around obviously. Yeah. And like one time, like he sprayed my pillow and stuff with it, like whenever, cause I used to live long distance, like in Atlanta. And, so like, I think that's part of what it was, but two, I just really have always been like attracted to that cologne. And so that is my favorite smell story.
Well, and honestly, I do like a good fragrance. Like, I'm going to tell you how I pick my fragrances. Like, since I was a flight attendant, I used to, if a lady walked past me, and the thing is, you want something that captures somebody's attention and it lingers. Mm-hmm. So if a lady would walk past me and it lingers, I would be like, ma'am, excuse me, what is that you're wearing? Because it smells so good. And then that's how I pick my fragrance. Like right now, I'm wearing light blue Dolce & Gabbana, and people love it, So I was wearing Paris Hilton for men, which is don't judge me, y'all. Shut up. It is a unisex cologne perfume. It is a sweet smelling, and I get a lot of compliments on it. So, and I think Alaska shouted me out because she asked me one time what I was wearing. She shouted me out on her podcast, Race Chasers, hashtag Race Chasers, on on the podcast for wearing Paris Hilton. So I get you. I definitely understand that.
I always tell people if it's a cologne that's like makes me think mysterious in a good way, like not mysterious in like a something smells weird type of way, then that's a good cologne. So
okay.
All right. Well, my question for you today is, which cartoon character do you wish was real because you are either attracted to them or want to be like really good friends with them?
Okay, so this is really easy. It is a character that I have been wanting to be for Halloween for so many years. Unfortunately, she barely wear clothes, and I have to cover up every part of my effing body. And I think we all may know this person. I think maybe Halloween 2022, it may happen, and it's Foxy from Drawn Together. You remember her?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would either love to be friends with her, or I would want to be her because just her attitude, her sass. I think it's me. I would definitely like to play her in the movie too. Like, I feel that's my character, y'all. If y'all watch the cartoon Drawn Together, Foxy that's my character. That would be me.
I'm gonna make a side by side and post it on Leah Foxy.
No, you wait for Halloween when I do it and be like, girl. I would be Foxy from then be like, this was her then, this is her now.
Yo, I walked into her house the other night and she had a damn whale suit. Okay. So I had a whale suit just sitting there and she's like, oh, this is for you. And I'm like, what?
Actually, I have Friday night, I was really intoxicated and some friends came over after the bar and I actually put it on and there's footage of me dancing in it. I may send it to you if y'all want to see it.
I got to see this.
There's me dancing in this shark costume, like just completely out of control. But I got this shark suit because I'm starting to get my things together for when Kurtis loses in these competitions. I'm gonna make him ride a bike in this shark costume. Like, I got this stuff planned.
Oh, it's gonna be a fun time. Those are coming. They're coming, people. We've got a lot to film. So
yes. And I'm so excited that I just want to put this out. Drag Queens on Ice.
Yes. That's it got rescheduled to this upcoming Sunday, December 12th,
which is a fundraiser for Kentuckiana Pride. I'll be hosting this event, and I do have an option to be on skates or not. And I said I'm gonna challenge myself and try to ice skate, and I have before, but it's been a long time.
All right, so I need everyone that hears this to go to this event, and I need you to video as Leah falls and busts her rear end on this ice, because unfortunately I'm not going to make it this weekend. So I need people to video this and send me those videos.
Yes, it is at Paris Town, 6:30 to 8:30. Drag Queens on Ice. It's going to be a hoot.
All right. Well, let's jump into our heart-to-heart, the segment we call Weathering Rainbows, which is the show's title. Do you have something that you want to get off of your chest this week?
Like I said, I've been in my feelings. Listen to this Adele album. We're going back to Adele, but listen to this album have made me reminisce on past relationships and things that I've done wrong, things that I've done better, things, I could do to better myself, because I'm not saying a lot of my relationships failed because we're so quick to put the blame on the other person. But sometimes I have to sit back and be like, Leah, what are some of your faults, in that didn't make it work? Some of my relationships, I'm I'm moody, some of the relationships I'm bossy. Some of the relationships, sexually I'm not, I haven't been attracted to the, guys. So it's like, I guess I'm just battling with myself. And, that's why I'm just taking time out for myself right now to just focus and find myself before I drag somebody else into, this world of mine and damage them.
Yeah.
Because
we're
so quick to point the finger and be like, he did this, he did that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about what we did, Let's look in the mirror and say, this is what your faults are. This is what you can do better. I have a bad habit of, in my last relationship, I had a bad habit of, throwing how much money I made more money than him. And I was like, I make more, I was hurting his feelings, making him feel less than me. And so these are things that I realize that I'm working on, like, not so much hurting people's feelings, making them feel less than me, The relationship is equal.
I think that's a great point in terms of, I do think we always got to be reflective. But one thing I would say as you're doing this, also remember not to kind of reminisce on gaslighting. Where somebody might have told you that you had these flaws, and it not necessarily be the truth.
Yeah.
So I think we can, you can always reflect openly, but sometimes it was them. Sometimes there are things that they did wrong. But it's also important to kind of see both sides of that story and accept, like, there's things that I could have done better too. The relationship is a two-way street. So.
I think we talked about this as well, like just getting angry if you don't get a text or call, or I think my thing is trust. And that maybe we'll talk about that next time. We'll leave that where it is, because trust is a whole nother issue when you're going into dating and relationships and even friendships.
Right.
Trust is a whole. So we'll save that for next episode.
Yeah, because that'll be a long discussion for us. I think for me this week, it's something that kind of always pops up at the holidays, and I think a lot of people go through it. It's just that general feeling of loneliness. But mine's a little different this year because I've been surrounded by so many great friends, and this podcast is really it's grown tremendously, much more than my wildest expectations from when we first started. And I think what is kind of weird, and I'm sure you can kind of relate because you're much more well known at this point than I am. But you walk into a place and people know you as one person, or like they know you for something, and then it's like you almost become untouchable in a way. Like so, like I was out the other night, and this guy comes up and he's like, "You realize you could have any guy in here?" and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here going, well, one, I don't really want that. Like I'm not after just like a one night hookup all the time. Like that's not what I'm after. But two, I have noticed since starting this show that it actually has become more difficult for me to have those random, one night stands. And I don't know whether that's because, we've worked through a lot of issues on this show, or if it's, you just have that, like people start knowing you for something and they kind of start distancing themselves. And I've even noticed that with like some old friends being more distant because I've started this show. And so like, I don't know. Do you deal with that?
Well, and like you said, I do appreciate the compliment when you said I can walk into the room and blah, 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 but it's definitely harder for me because what you're seeing, if I walk into the room as Leah, yes. The problem is, can I walk into the room as Tony and get the same attention? And the question is, and the answer is no. The reason why I travel a lot. Is like I distance myself away from my family because my family is dysfunctional. So I've been alone majority of my life. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with spending the holidays by myself. I'm okay. Thanksgiving, I slept on the couch. I stayed on the couch and watched TV. So I'm okay. I've built up this stamina. Like I'm okay with just being by myself. And after you go through it so much and you've been through it so much, and I know I'm not alone. I have family, I have you, I have friends. I can do things. It's just, I'm okay with being alone during the holiday. I mean,
and I think that's true with a lot of LGBTQ people. I know I tell people all the time, I've spent more holidays alone than I have with a group of people.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think, for a long time, it was personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a day to relax and recover from the holidays a lot of times from what we've had to go through as LGBTQ people, for sure.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that. And I know both of our things are pretty relatable to what a lot of people are going through throughout the holidays. And so we just wanted to share that with everyone. And if you're going through something, I just want to say, reach out to us. You can go on our Instagram, DM us, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Unfortunately, I've heard of so many people this holiday season that are from the LGBTQ community in rural areas that have tried to commit suicide. And, if there's anything we can promote, it's, like the Trevor Project's line, it does get better. But while it's not better, while it's not great right now, reach out to us. That's what we are here for. So is to at least make it tolerable until it does get better.
Yeah, and the holidays can be a little depressing. Like, I'm not saying I've never been depressed, but like I've just started coping with just being by myself on the holidays. So it can be definitely, a few years ago, I used to just turn my phone off. I would turn my TV off and just ball up and under a blanket and just sleep all day. And and that's a choice because I do have friends that care about me a lot here that I get invited to things. It's just, I wish my family was closer and we wasn't as dysfunctional because I would love to be with my family. But unfortunately, I have a dysfunctional family and we don't celebrate anything. We don't get together for anything. Everybody just do their own thing. So, and I've just started, I've gotten accustomed to it, and it's hard for me to be around other people's families having a good time because I think that's why I stay at home, because if I go around somebody else's family, it makes me sad because I'm sad for my family that my family can't be like this.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I used to deal with that a lot whenever I was away from my own family and being invited to other people's homes. And, it's so nice that people do invite you places, to come to their families. But I think that's a good point, too. Like, it's okay to not accept that if you don't feel like you're going to be comfortable going. And nobody should get offended if somebody does say, I don't want to go. It's not anything against your family. It's just the way we all have to deal with the holidays.
And everybody will have a different reason. And like my reason is like I enjoy going, but it also makes me sad because like, I'm sitting here thinking, I wish my family was like this. Like, I want to do a family reunion. I want to sit down at a table with my family for Thanksgiving. I want to exchange gifts with my family for Christmas. And I just don't have that kind of family. Everybody just we're all over the place in different states and cities. Like, and we just, there's no phone calls. There's no nothing. And some families are like that. I'm okay with it now. I can talk about it. I'm okay with it because, I'm making a life for myself now. And some points you grow up and you move and either you stick with the family or you don't.
And, that is one great thing about the LGBTQ community is a lot of times we make our own families.
Yes. And I have a great
at least
family.
Those to like supplement in the areas that our families don't do well.
Yes.
For instance, my family, they are not touchers. They don't hug. They are non-physical touch type of people. So I make sure to get that for my, family and friends that are not blood, So sometimes you got to do those things. And I think today's story is going to be incredible for people, as it is a story of somebody who lived a long time as a person not really true to themselves. But now they are in a great state. They are happy being true to themselves, and they kind of tell the story of how they got there. So I look forward to sharing this interview with you all.
Yes.
Howdy, y'all, and welcome back. Today we have a very special guest whose name is Dustin Detzer. I'm going to have him introduce himself.
Well, I'm originally from Santa Claus, Indiana area, Christine, Indiana, Dale, Indiana. Small towns about an hour southwest of Louisville.
What was family life like for you?
Well, I grew up, I had one brother. My parents divorced when I was 13 and he was 6. And then my brother and I lived with my dad. We moved around a little bit in the area.
And what was LGBTQ life like? Was your family supportive, or was it something that you grew up hearing negative things?
I was in the closet until I was 34 years old. I'm 40. It was definitely not something that was looked upon favorably where I grew up. There weren't really too many people that were even open and out. It was kind of spoken about like there was something wrong, you know. It was like something that you would hear in like hushed tones, you know. So like the way I grew up with it was that you know, people would say, you know, hey, you know, Kurtis is gay, you know, like that kind of thing. Yeah. Like it was bad, like it was something to be ashamed of. I was raised Catholic. Yeah. I had a good experience in the church, you know. Everyone was very loving. There was no hate preached in the sermons. But, you know, like my best friend growing up, his uncle was out and open. And I heard a lot of negative talk about him, and like I heard a lot of shit talking, you know, and I was a little boy. So, you know, it was real apparent to me early that like it wasn't okay, you know, it was not all right to be gay. So I hid.
At what age did you kind of figure out that you were gay? I know you didn't come out till you were 34, but obviously you probably knew something about your sexuality before then.
Yeah, and when I was real young, I was attracted to both men and women, but much more to men. I had crushes on like older guys, and like I just ignored it, and I stuffed it away, and I hated myself, you know. I mean, I really, really hated myself, and I did everything I could to not be gay. I dated women. I tried to create this persona of someone that was anything but. So anything that I would perceive or could be perceived to be gay or feminine, I ran from, and I did the opposite. And it was all calculated. So like every decision I made, whether it was how I dressed, what I said, the music I listened to, everything, I filtered through that.
So I know you also went into the military as well. What was that experience like, and were you closeted throughout the entire time you were in?
I was closeted. I joined the United States Marine Corps in 2001, and it was don't ask, don't tell. And I still, you know, at that time, I didn't accept myself. You know, I just, you know, I was an athlete in high school, and I had this kind of like walk it off mentality, right? Like, you know, right. Your knee hurts you a little bit, suck it up, walk it off, it'll go away, you know? So I thought, I'm just going to keep going, and this gay thing will just resolve itself, right? It's just like a little minor ticky-tack injury, right? And so I joined the Marine Corps in 2001, went to boot camp in San Diego, and was stationed out in San Diego as well. And that was kind of, I was 20 years old when I joined. And that was kind of when I finally realized, like, where I accepted, like, I'm gay. And I still didn't come out. I couldn't. I had a friend who I was in with, and I didn't know he was gay either. And, he was found out by our little group of friends, and he tried to kill himself, and they kicked him out. He didn't get any of his benefits. I mean, everybody there is there to serve, but you're also there because, like, I needed money for college. I went to Indiana University in Bloomington for 2 years and was working 2 jobs and borrowing money, and was just kind of, at the end of my rope too when I joined. And so, like, I never saw him again. I just, was like, I don't want to say his name or anything. I haven't talked to him since then. I mean, it was almost 20 years ago. He just disappeared, he was just gone.
How long were you in?
4 years.
So obviously you got out of the military, and then I believe you said you were in several, or at least that one relationship thereafter with a woman, correct?
I was in a lot of relationships with women. I always had a girlfriend. It was always like it was like my armor, so. And when I was in, there's some people that they knew, like I had posters. I was really into bodybuilding, so it was a lot bigger. And I had posters of bodybuilders all over my room in the barracks. And, I had one first sergeant who looked at those, and he looked at me, and he looked at those, and he was like, and he was from Alabama, and he had this real thick accent. And he was like, "So you into lifting weights, huh?" And I was like, "Yes, first sergeant." But he couldn't ask me. He knew. I could just tell. He looked me right in the eyes. I looked at him, and he knew. And, like, I deployed twice to Iraq, and, there's women that serve in the Marine Corps too. In those situations, it's illegal by military law, but there's lots of sex happening, and there's very few women, and the guys are very interested in those women on deployment. And they were kind of like, "Man, Dustin isn't really interested in us." I was just going to the gym and lifting weights. And so they asked my friends if I was gay, and, then, one of them asked me, and I said, "Why don't you ask my girlfriend?" So that was always like my like, I can put this to rest right now.
What was your longest serious relationship with a girl?
Well, I got married to a woman in 2011 because I just decided. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went back just to IU Bloomington, and it's hard for me to explain, but the way I felt about my sexuality was that it was as if I had, like, murdered someone, right? And, like, I have got to take this secret to the grave. Like, I'm just going to do my best to fit in with everybody and, not be gay, and I'll just die and no one will ever know. And so when I got out of the Marine Corps, though, I thought I'm going to start dating guys. I'm just going to do it on the down low. And I was so, like, methodical about and so paranoid about it that, like, I checked around Bloomington and made sure there was no one there that was there when I was there before. So, like, no one could see me or no one would know or find out. And when I figured that out, I was like, all right, I'm going to start dating guys. My father died. And so that really threw me for a loop. I was 25 and my brother was 19. He just went to college, and he found my father. And it was a really traumatic experience for him. And that kind of threw my whole life upside down. My brother moved in with me, and I just decided, like, I can't do this now. I'm just going to go back to I'll just be with women, and that's how it'll be, and it was so bad. I developed a drinking problem. I hated myself. It made me mean. It made me mean to other people. It sounds real cliche, when people say, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else, but it's the absolute truth. It was I didn't only not love myself, I fucking hated myself,
Right. Yeah, and you definitely can find yourself. I mean, that's whenever you start to cope with things through alcohol and addiction. And I think that's one of the main reasons that that's so prevalent in our community. You have a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of these deep issues that turn to this to as an escape, you know. So I know we've all kind of been there on that.
Absolutely. And it just makes things worse. It just makes things worse.
How long were you married?
I was married from 2010 until 2015 when I came out, or 2016 when the divorce was final.
What was that difficult conversation? What was that like?
Oh my God, difficult. It's an understatement. To kind of get an idea of like how I was, I was just like, I'm stubborn, I was like, I'm just going to ride this out. And I was planning to kill myself in a way that because I did love my wife, and I still love her as a human being. We're not in contact anymore. And so I didn't want her I wanted to kill myself in a way where she would get insurance money, right? And then it would look as if I didn't kill myself. So I'm planning this out. And I started meditating and doing yoga, and then it kind of just ripped it out of me. It was like, I just got to come out. And I texted a friend of mine that I was in the Marine Corps with, another friend, and told them first, and just started the process. And it was really, I wouldn't recommend to do it the way I did it if you're in a similar situation, because then the next day we were like driving to Costco, and I still hadn't told my wife, but I told some family members the night before, and my good friend from the Marine Corps, and another good friend that was out of town, and we were driving, and I was just like, I've got to do this, and I was getting ready to tell her, and I mentally broke. I started to have a PTSD episode. I wasn't well, and I had to go home, and I proceeded to have a complete mental breakdown. And I told her, and it was really, really, really bad for about 3 weeks. It was the most terrifying and humbling experience of my life. It was really hard for her. It was really hard for me. It was hard for everyone in my life. It was the most difficult thing I've ever experienced.
I know you said that meditation kind of helped you through this, and I know that's a lot of what you do now. I know you do some personal training and that sort of thing. Walk us through kind of coming to that realization that it's like it is time, you have to do this, and how meditation kind of worked you through that.
I practice kind of a blend of Buddhism and yoga. And Buddhism and yoga, the ultimate goal of those two systems is to realize the ultimate nature of reality. Truth, right? Truth. And I'd been lying. My whole life was a lie. And it pulls it out. It just like pulled it out of me. It was like, I have to do this, So once you start sitting with yourself, not with an app, you just practice like the Buddha practiced or like the yogis practice. You can't turn away from reality, and it's good in the long run. And now I maintain that practice, and I'm happier and healthier than I've ever been, or that I could ever even imagine could be, compared to my previous life. And it's a way that keeps me grounded and focused on what's really important.
I know this is a difficult topic, and so if it's something you don't want to discuss, just let us know and we can move on. But I do want to discuss, you were in a marriage for quite some time with a woman, and you were hiding this huge secret about yourself. I think especially for Kentuckians, we have a lot of men, even today, that are in what would be deemed heterosexual relationships, that are married to women, that have these same feelings that you're going through. What advice? First, I want to get into, how did you manage to maintain that secret for so long? And then second would be, what do you want to tell those kind of people that were in your position, that are kind of feel trapped in these marriages?
My parents got divorced when I was 13, and my father kind of raised my dad and my brother after that. My mother was a severe alcoholic, and my father was an alcoholic as well. And that's not to say anything about their character. They just had a problem. And so my dad was a very old school, masculine kind of guy. You know, he was a union carpenter. He was a collegiate athlete. It was very much, you know, like I was a football player in high school. You know, I was like the homecoming king and all this stuff. And it was all, I never like could enjoy anything because I wasn't myself. It was a lie. You know, it was like any kind of like positive thing I even accomplished or did, it was just like, it was somebody else, you know, because it wasn't me. So it was easier for me, I think, to maintain it because I came off, I could present so straight, you know, I did it intentionally, but it's kind of like how you cue on the person that raised you really. And I always cued on my father. And so, you know, he was like a real kind of alpha dude, you know? So I knew I was always around him. Like when I was a little boy, he would take me, probably not the best parenting strategy, but you know, you'd go play softball and like stand around the back of a pickup truck and like drink beer with his buddies till late in the night. I was standing right there, you know? So like, I was like, I knew how to act. I knew how to talk. I played sports and I watched sports mostly for like a social kind of currency. So I could like, you know, and being in the Marine Corps, it's like the same. They're training you for a specific reason, thing to do, right? War, but it's also like they're kind of stripping you down and building you up culturally how they want you, right? And that includes how you walk, how you talk, how you emote, right? So like, I was all kind of like acting all the time. And like I said, I was so like terrified of someone finding out that I was gay, that it was like real, in my mind, it was like a real life and death thing. So I just did it, you know, it was just, and to people that are like me, that are in a marriage with a woman and they're not being true to themselves, you've got to come out. You've got to be honest with everybody, because I caused myself and other people so much suffering because of my secret, you know, because of my secret. I mean, you know, like I said, I wasn't a real nice person. And like, you know, my ex-wife could have been with somebody else, and, you know, I could never love a woman like they need to be loved. Right. Because so many people focus on the sex part of, your sexuality, right? But it's romantic too. It's like I couldn't romantically be with a woman because I'm gay, you know, like they don't understand that it's not just the sex part, the bedroom part, you know. Right. And so like that's harmful to the woman as well. And like, and if you have kids, I mean, the suffering that they're going to have to endure because of your decisions is, you know, it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary for that suffering to happen.
Mm-hmm. So when you say you wasn't a nice person, like in general, like was that attitude, or, you know, just explain that?
Just kind of a asshole.
Okay. You know? And I definitely understand that, because I can relate that, because like when I was trying to figure out my gender and like who I want to be, like I felt trapped in the wrong body and I didn't know how to handle it. So I became like this very aggressive, nasty person. And it took this lady one day. I don't know where I was. I was somewhere in Texas, and I was walking. I was at a bus stop, and this lady kept looking at me. I was so angry with myself and hated myself. This lady was looking at me, and I just went off. I was like, "What the fuck are you looking at? Like, do I have shit up?" Like, I just went. That's how nasty I was. And she was like, she stopped me and put her hands on my shoulder, and she was like, "Baby, let me tell you something. Just because somebody's looking at you, don't mean that it's bad." She said, "I was just admiring how beautiful you were and your eyes," and like it was a compliment. And then that day I was like, you have to do something, you have to, figure out who you want to be. So I definitely understand that part of it, because it fucks with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand what you're saying. You know, I was, I was an all-state football linebacker in high school, and it's because I liked the violence. I was fucking angry. I was angry.
Yeah.
I was an angry person. I don't even like the game of football. I liked hurting people because I was so mad. When I was in the Marine Corps, if anybody ever said anything about the way I walked, so I have a little swish to my walk, and I would fight them or try to fight them immediately. I was like, immediately, if somebody said something, even joking. And like, that's not good for the person that's that angry. I mean, in Buddhism, they talk about when you're hateful or angry, it's like squeezing a hot coal to throw at someone else. You're just burning through your hand. Yeah, you might hurt that other person with that hot coal, but you're really harming yourself more than anything. And it accumulates. It accumulates and accumulates. But I understand what you're saying, Leah. Totally. Yeah. I can totally relate with that.
Yeah. I mean, I even went to jail. Like I had anger management, like, cause I was so, confused with myself, and we're talking like in my 20s or late 20s, early 20s. And I had incidents where I was so angry and went to jail for like just throwing, I mean, I just had the worst attitude. Like, it was so bad. And I said, at some point I have to figure out who I want to be and what I want to do. Cause at this point, when you're going to jail, because I have assault charges, which I don't know if I have them anymore, because this was many years ago, they should be gone. But I have assault charges because that's just how bad my attitude was, because I just hated myself.
Yeah. I always, this is a really neat, because it's kind of a surprise conversation of something that I've been writing a lot about. And one thing I've noticed is, like, whenever you're in your youth and you haven't come out and you're dealing with this, having to play this straight character, I think a lot of us take one of two paths. And I think what's so unique about this conversation is it seems like you have taken kind of intermingled both of those paths. And that is, one, you will see the gay person become super, like, they will excel at everything. And I think that kind of stems from the fact that they feel like if they're high achievers, that they won't, whenever they do finally come out, that they'll be accepted, because that's the way a lot of us got acceptance from our parents and stuff, is by doing high achievement. The other path is kind of what I call the troublemaker path. And I always say, I was the high achiever path, but I admire the troublemaker path more. And the reason for that is a lot of kids that are going through this, they become troublemakers because they're starting to stand up for their own identity.
Yeah.
And you see that with them as children. And so, like, that's really neat to me that they're able to do that so young. But it oftentimes does lead to jail time. It leads to other types of trouble, losing scholarships, those kind of things. So I just thought that's really neat that you kind of have both of those. Can you kind of talk about the ways that you kind of excelled? I know you kind of said you were on the football team, those kind of things. And was that a way that you kind of were pleasing your family?
Yeah. I excelled in athletics mostly. I had good grades, and I wound up, going going to law school and doing that. And yeah, and it was pleased my family a lot. I remember being in 7th grade and, someone asking my dad or asking me, like, hey, I hear you're playing football. Do you like that? And before I could answer, he was like, he loves it. I was like, oh, all right, I guess I love it,
Yeah, the day I quit baseball was like the most devastating day to my family. So I totally get that. Yeah.
Well, y'all are lucky because I was a cheerleader, so
You did have it worse.
Listen, I initially wanted to be a majorette and twirl the baton, but I went into that audition. They said no males allowed.
Oh wow!
So
wow.
The lady that was over it, she said, "Why don't you go try cheerleading?" I said, "Okay." I wanted to be a baton twirler, honey, and they was like, "Nope."
You and Leslie Jordan. I feel like you are the baton twirler.
I was not. I was very feminine in high school, and I hated PE, gym, whatever they call it. I hated that because we were forced to play sports, and I remember playing football one day, and they never threw the ball to me. And one time I was open, and at the end, and the guy decided to throw the ball at me, and I caught it. And I think I earned respect from all the boys in school because I caught that ball. And I was like, what do I was like, they were like, run. I'm holding the ball. I'm like, what do I do? That's awesome. The closest to fucking game sports that I've done. So and I relieved that moment lived rent free in my head because I remember the look at those boys when I caught that football.
Yeah, I mean, the sports thing too, it's like the whole coming out or being in the closet, it's about acceptance, and I think it's an evolutionary feature of human beings that you want to be accepted by other people. Because if you think back in our past when we were like cavemen, if they're like, man, we don't like Dustin, then you don't get food and you don't, you die. And so that's because I question myself for so long, like, why do I care? Like, why do I care? Why can't I just be who I am, And I think that's the reason why. And where I grew up in sports, if you're on the football team, you were treated special. Yeah. It's weird now looking at it from a adult outside perspective, but it was a small rural community, and football was a big deal. I mean, you got treated differently. You got preference. Yeah. You had privilege if you're on the football team. So like that really like. I'm accepted. I'm okay. I'm good. Whatever.
Yeah. So let's talk about your path to happiness. Obviously, whenever you came out, anytime you come out in that situation, it's going to be difficult. But you are now, you said earlier, you're the happiest point in your life. Talk us through that journey.
Well, yeah. So I came out in 2015. Got over that hump, and it wasn't it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. Right after that, it was some dark times for about a year. I struggled with alcohol before that, and I continued to struggle with it, and I was just trying to get my ex-wife. Make sure she was okay, and like that it was the easiest transition for her as I could do. I went kind of nuts for about a year. I dated a lot of guys, and not for the purpose of like a relationship, but just for fun, and just I really struggled. And then when I finally started to like, and I started working out more, and like. The working out started off as I wanted to look good, because I'd get on apps and be like, hit on guys and they wouldn't respond to me. And I'm like, well, maybe if I got a little hotter, that'd help, And then it changed into something else to where it was more about how I felt and more about my health. And so I slowly stopped drinking. Slowly, one day at a time type thing, and started making slow changes And then started kind of turning myself into somebody who I would want to date. That was the key for me. I started thinking, I think I heard actually on a podcast, it was like someone gave advice of like, think of some attributes that you respect. Like if you saw these attributes on someone that you were thinking about dating, you'd be like, I genuinely respect that. And then turn yourself into that. And through that process, you'll attract somebody that you'll be interested in actually having a real authentic relationship with. And so through that process of doing that, I started to, because I was boxing when I first moved down here a lot. My brother died in 2013 from a mixture of heroin and cocaine. And that was devastating to me. I was living up by Chicago at the time. I was working for the VA. I transferred down to the Louisville office to be closer to my mom who lives down here. And that really fucked me up beyond what I can even tell you. I was still in the closet at that point. And so it just, he was 26. And so I had a lot of, I finally started going to therapy. That helped a lot. The meditation, the working out, to getting off the alcohol. And if you find yourself or you need to make a big change in your life, what I've found is, because I now train people and help them with these kinds of things, whether it's just losing some weight or like really changing their life, it's small steps, little bitty changes. When you try to go real big, you'll inevitably fail. And then you're like, oh, I'm not drinking, I'm working out, and I'm not doing this and that. And you might power through for like a few months or even a few years, but then when you fall off, generally the kind of the mental game of that is you get mad at yourself and you just go back to your old ways and you go back further than where you started. And the absolute key is to make a change that's so small that it seems like it's too easy. I had a client who was drinking 30 beers every night, and he weighed like 300 pounds, and he was really at the end of his rope, and how we started was, he's running marathons now, or he was. I haven't talked to him in a while, but
Wow.
How we started was, I'd say, man, can you drink 29 beers a night? And he was like, I can't. It's like, okay, well, can you dump out half of the 30th one? And he was like, I can do that. I'm like, is it too easy for you? There can't be any resistance. Like, it has to be like too easy. Like, say you get up at 6 a.m. I'm like, can you get up at 5:59? Can you set your alarm for 5:59? You're like, it seems silly, right? You're like, of course I can. It has to be that easy. And then you ingrain that, right? So then, and I'd talk to him every day. I said, you dump it out? Yeah. All right. And then when that's ingrained, when it's totally, that's just what you're doing, it's automatic. Then you move it up just a little more. All right. Can we just drink 29 tonight? I can do that. All right. Can you get up at 5:58? Mm-hmm. And you just build and build slow, and don't put a time limit on yourself, like a 30-day challenge, or, in 5 years, I want to be doing this. That's fine to have goals, but it's kind of, it's not conducive to the process of change. You got to focus on the actual process, not the goal. It's, eyes on the prize is wrong. Eyes on the process is key. Eyes on the process.
Yeah, that can definitely be a very long journey, but it's also, you're correct, totally correct. It's the minor little changes over time that add up. And I just want to say, I know Leah and I are, I think, both just kind of taken aback in terms of just honestly the amount of trauma that you've gone through and managed to get through to live this more happy life. So I know we both admire you for that. Talk us, I know you're a personal coach now and stuff like that, and you also have a podcast. Let our listeners know where they can find you and potentially even reach out to ask about your services. Yeah,
sure. Best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram. I'm at Holistic Personal Training 812. And my system is a blend of yoga, mostly kettlebell training. We use other tools too for the fitness aspect, meditation, and it's customizable to whatever your goals are. I have clients that just want to look good. I have clients that want to ease their stress and learn how to meditate. And my whole goal is to teach you how to do it on your own. So that one day if I'm gone, you're like, I don't need him. I know how to do this. And you have this thing that you can do for the rest of your life. And that's one of the reasons why I primarily focus on kettlebells. I'm a kettlebell specialist. It's just an iron cannonball at the handle. They're relatively cheap and you can take them anywhere. I mean, there's a reason why, like Navy SEALs and, elite military people use them in war zones, because you just need that one thing. You don't need a big gym. You don't need anything special. You just got to know how to use it. So you can find me on Instagram at Holistic Personal Training 812. You can email me at holistic.fitness812@gmail.com if you'd rather email.
And tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Oh, the podcast? Well, it's a little less sophisticated than yours. I kind of just like to, sometimes I do a little philosophy stuff, little yoga stuff, or I interview people, and I just organically just kind of flow and just talk. I need to record some new ones.
Just to let our listeners know, I know he's going to put me through one of these boot camp days here soon. So I think in December.
Do it too.
You're welcome. You're welcome to come.
I've seen some of the videos, and I'm like, very hardcore. I don't know how long I'm gonna last, but
it'll be adapted to your abilities. I don't throw you right into the fire at the beginning. We build up to it, and I kind of watch and see what's best for you. But let's hook up, and I'll hook you up with a free session, Leah, and you can tell me what you think about it.
I'm excited about that. I do want to go back to, okay, so before you went into the military, you knew that you were attracted to men?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, it had to be tough being in the military around all those men. Like, how did you control that? What did you do? Because I know I would go crazy, looking and in the shop. I could picture myself in the military, around all those men. So how did you handle that?
It's just through discipline, just self-discipline. I always averted eyes. I was in locker rooms in high school and all that. And I just, I was so fearful of someone knowing that, taking a risk of even and of course I kind of saw some things or whatever, but for the most part, I just was super disciplined with how I acted. And that's what destroyed me, was being inauthentic and not being me 24/7. Yeah. I looked at a lot of bodybuilding magazines.
Wow.
It was really the bodybuilding.
I hear a lot. I have a lot of military friends, and I kind of enjoy hearing the stories. I'm like, y'all should write a book, because I would definitely read this kind of soft porn novel, of the military. I would, my book would be called The Barracks,
The Barracks.
What happens, I've heard a lot of stories. So it's secret places and,
Yeah, I never engaged in that because I was terrified of getting kicked out and losing my benefits. But I think that some erotic military themed gay porn would be pretty great. I'd be into it.
I think there's a club called The Barracks, and it's I'd say there's some military guys that probably go there.
We should try to find it and go.
Oh.
Another adventure, Kurtis and Leah.
Another adventure.
Field trip.
Oh Lord. So speaking of that, I think this is a great way to bridge into what we call our Heap of Trouble segment.
One event comes to mind. Chad and I were on vacation in San Diego, and we had a little Airbnb, and it was in Pacific Beach. And it was if you've ever been to those kind of little beach communities, they'll make little apartments out of every little space they can get. So it was like this kind of like on the side of this building, and like this whole building was probably Airbnbs, but it's just like a little house that was broken up into tiny little rooms. And we got there and we were having fun, and we decided to, play a little bit, and we're full blown having sex. And all of a sudden the door opens, and I heard Chad go, and then I heard a woman's voice go, "Oh my God." And I was like, what just happened? And, well, this woman thought it was her Airbnb and walked in on us having sex. And then the next day, Chad and I were out in front, and then this guy walks out and he's like, "Hey guys," and he's smiling. I'm like, oh, she told him. And, so
Wow.
she got to see something live she'd probably never seen before.
Wow. I'm sure she probably enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm sure.
These Airbnbs, like, I'm starting to get scared of them, because you're like, that's the second story I've heard this week where somebody's like walked in on an Airbnb, and wow.
I don't trust them, honey. I watch too many movies, and I think cameras are there. I'm trying to give no free show, honey. You better pay me. So that's crazy that happened. That happened to me in Los Angeles a couple of years ago. I flew in, and was I working for the airlines? I think I was working for Delta, and I ended up meeting this guy. And as soon as we checked into the hotel, we immediately started making out. Clothes still on. We started making out, and then like the supervisor walked in, and I was like, "Excuse me." He was like, "Oh, I'm just checking to make sure everything was good." Yeah, but could you have knocked first? Seriously. You just don't walk into nobody's room like that. I was like, but it was like in LA, it was one of these, it was by the airport, and I think it was like a drug or something hotel. I don't know what it was, but it was like only one. If you check in as one person, they only want one person in the room. It's like a Holiday Inn. So I don't know if he saw me walk in, that guy walk in with me, but it was like, dude, you didn't even knock. You just like walked in, and we were like full making out with our clothes on, like grinding and humping. And I hear the door open, and he just walks in.
Wow.
And I'm like, and he's like, "Is everything okay?" "Bitch, everything is okay. Get out."
I'm gonna bring my own deadbolts and stuff now. I'll be like screwing things in the Airbnbs and with the little chains and
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get with the Airbnb.
I don't trust them. I saw that there's a movie on Netflix where the man had a whole tunnel and stuff, was watching the people. I'm like, no. I get nervous in my house. I be thinking somebody looking in through the curtains at me. I'm like, y'all not getting a free show. So you are married now?
No.
No, you're not married?
No, we hold ourselves out as married. We're monogamous.
Okay.
And we've been together for, it was 5 years, September 29th.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
I've never been happier. I never, I used to be pretty skeptical, I never experienced true love in my life until I met Chad, and it changes, it was like, when we first met, it was like, I had to remind myself, I was like, I need to treat this like a drug experience. Like, this is a temporary, I need to like not do some crazy shit here, because we were just so like obsessed with each other, and just, it was so overwhelming that I was like, okay, just, chill out, man. Like this will change and be different. And it has, I mean, we're still madly in love, but it's changed. And I'm so grateful that I could experience it, that I could die tonight and be a happy man, feel like my life is complete.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Wow.
We are grateful for you. Can you just rub some of that energy off of me and Kurtis?
Yeah.
Right? Need some give us some Reiki energy right now. We need some of that.
Practice gratitude every day, and you can start to feel a little bit of that yourself. And I'll kind of show you in our sessions how I do it.
Yeah.
Happiness is not dependent on another person. True happiness and peace comes from within. And I think that's where a lot of folks get in trouble, is where you look at trying to find someone as like you're buying a car, right? If you need a car, you need a car, right? So you're like, okay, here's what's available. Here's how much money I have. And I got to buy a car. You don't have to be with anybody. And when you think you do, that's when you'll ignore red flags, and that's when you'll settle for someone that's not a right fit. And I think, and then that, that just snowballs into a bad situation for you, because you don't need to have somebody to be happy. You can have somebody great, Kurtis? Not have somebody great,
I'm happy. I just am slowly starting to allow myself to like potentially date again, and I think that's the struggle. Like you go from this, I think like for me, like I reached happiness so much as a single person, and now to like start allowing myself back out, it's like, yeah, I'm starting to get heartbroken again. Like guys are mean
because you put everything in it at once. You got to gradually get to, you want to move, you want it bam. So then you get your feelings hurt. You get your feelings hurt when they don't call you back. You got stop giving the good goods up on the, make them wait.
I have two little.
I saw that look.
I have two little pieces of advice. You can take it or leave it. I would say keep in mind, even with dating and with everything in life, have wholesome intentions. Right? Make sure your intentions are wholesome, but don't attach to the outcome. It's attaching to the outcome is where that's what creates suffering. Right. So if you're like, oh man, I'm really into this guy, and you guys start dating and your intentions are whole, right? You're not like, or wholesome, I should say. Okay, that's good to go. And then it all falls apart. He ghosts you, whatever happens. If you can train yourself to not attach to that, okay, great. That's over. I'm here now and I'm moving forward, and that's it. That's in the past. It's where the way you respond to that. It's that attaching to like, oh, I liked him so much, or I wanted this to be this or that. And then it's not. That's where the suffering comes in.
Wow.
I would also suggest like, when I started to date to like find somebody, I withheld. When I really liked him, I didn't have sex with him for a while.
Wow.
I do that too, people. I don't know. Leah's gonna make me sound really bad sometimes on this show.
No judgment.
Good, right. Oh Lord. I think, and I agree with you. For me, I think sometimes like as a Libra, I'm very, I know what I want as soon as it's there. Like if they check all the boxes and all that kind of stuff, then I start to develop the expectations. Like, things are going to go well. Yeah. And it's the expectations that really hurt me whenever they don't happen. And that's just because like, I'm also a Libra. I like to be in control of my environment and the things that I go through.
Let go of that control. It's an illusion. We don't have control over anything.
I know.
So let go of that. Let go.
Yeah. That's what we're working on. So, you've given a lot of really great advice. What would you say to those kids out there?
I would say that you are absolutely perfect the way you are. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect, with room for improvement, right? But you're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. Love yourself. Try not to, if you find yourself falling into substances, try to stay away or find something more healthy to do. And to always remember that everything is impermanent. Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. The darkest nights will end, and the good times will end too. So try to be present with it all and just know that it's just a passing, fleeting thing. All right? So just try to love yourself and love everyone else and be happy. Let yourself be happy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That reminds me of one of my favorite things that I tell people, like, you've survived 100% of your bad days so far, and that's a pretty damn good record. So just keep going.
Yeah.
We do a segment called the Pot of Gold. It's the last little segment that we will do. It's where you get to ask me a question and Leah a question. It can be literally anything under the sun, and we have to answer it truthfully.
Leah sounds like she's led a pretty wild life. What's the craziest thing you've done?
Oh, Lord.
That you can say on
that
air.
You can say that won't incriminate you.
I've done a lot of crazy things in this life and time. In these 46 years, um, I'm a, I'm gonna pick one of the craziest things I've ever done, and this was in. I'm gonna go back a few years to my 20s, maybe. So in my hometown, Lafayette, Louisiana, um, I grew up Catholic. I'm Baptist now, but I grew up Catholic, and I was going to Catholic choir rehearsal, and where my grandparents live, the church is far up the street, and then there's a cemetery in between. Well, like you, back home in Louisiana, I got teased for walking funny, like I'm twisting or sashaying. So I'm walking to choir rehearsal, and I'm just switching down the street, and this guy comes on a bike and was like flirting or did I don't know what went on. Anyway, to make a long story short, we went into the cemetery, and yes, Mama got done on top of somebody's grave, and that woman, her name is Mary something, and I that woman haunts me till this day because I was on top of her grave, boom, bum up, and full on going in, and while and at times I would look up and just read her name, like, oh, hey, Mary. Yes. So that's one of my many crazy stories. And y'all, I'm telling you, this woman, Mary, I'm not gonna forget. I can't remember her last name, but I guarantee you that woman haunts me.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
I mean,
I'm speechless.
You said crazy.
That's great.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing.
What a story.
Yeah. I'm telling you, they're gonna learn a lot about me this season.
Oh my Lord. We'll try to get Mary as a guest on this show one day.
Mary probably sitting in this room. Like you told this story.
Wow.
It was kind of hot though. Like seriously. I don't even know what to say. It was hot.
It sounds pretty hot. That might be some good erotic novel material too.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome, listeners. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Kurtis, do you have any tattoos? And if you don't, would you get one? And if you were to get one, what would you get and where?
So I actually do not have any tattoos.
Good boy.
I've always been torn on it, honestly, because I like some tattoos on guys, but then I also see tattoos and I'm like, that just ruined that perfect Adonis, So I've always been just hesitant about it, and I'm also a Libra, so I contemplate everything way too long. However, I actually do want to get one eventually, and there's a really cool it's kind of like an angel coming out of marble. One of my favorite lines is, I saw an angel in the marble and I carved until I set him free. And so with that, that's kind of what I feel like is a good line of my life. I'm continuously working on myself and setting myself free in ways that I previously hadn't experienced. There's a tattoo that one of the famous TikTokers out there has, and I'm just like, I want that tattoo. So I might steal his, which might be mean, but I'm still going to take it.
Yeah, do you, man. Do what you like.
Something similar. Yeah. So,
we should get one together.
Oh, Lord.
I've never gotten a tattoo.
I also I'm not a fan of needles. So that's what scares me a little bit too. I don't know if it's painful. Do you have tattoos?
Yeah.
Dustin, you do? Was it painful?
Depends on the spot. I mean, there's always a little bit of pain. I actually kind of like it now. I'd say the most painful one I got was on my rib cage.
I want to start off with something small, like a check mark, just to see. I'm gonna do a little check.
Check mark. You're gonna be one of those people that gets a little dot And it's like, oh, I got a tattoo now. It's a
Yeah,
dot.
yeah, just like poop, just give me a little poke. I'm sorry. I don't like pain. I don't like needles or pain either, which is weird because I'm sticking people in the arms like daily. And so I don't like needles at all.
My question will be, Leah and I are really into these whole celebrity crushes right now. So who is your celebrity crush and what is like the most attractive part about them? And this is the part where like your boyfriend has to turn it off. So turn it off.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna like that. Let me think about that. I would say, and I think he played the character of Stringer Bell. I think was the name of the character on there on the show. I can't remember. I can't remember what character. He's a real tall, beautiful black man. You know, great physique, real chiseled face, very dark skin.
There's a lot of attractive men on this show. So, well, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to come on back now. I know we all love a little vibration, so if you are not already, go ahead and subscribe to this podcast. And we will surprise you on occasion with a new release vibration in your pocket. But in the meantime, if you find yourself alone or crossing new horizons along the Rainbow Trail, and you need a friend or even a laugh to get you through those dark and stormy nights, holler on out to us at www.weatheringrainbows.com, where you can find shelter in the blogs, videos, and other episodes that will hopefully keep you out of a whole heap of trouble. So until next time, y'all, giddy up, be true to yourself, and make the best of life. And wherever the wild tracks may lead you, may the rainbow always touch your shoulder.